dynamic, can make plays with his feet, can make plays certainly with his arm. A very productive player from college. And then special teams, I think they're a good special teams unit coached by Coach Tabor. So really looking forward to the challenge and starting that work week with Wednesday's practice.
Kevin,
with that, I'll take questions.
Kevin, any update on Odell's status for Sunday?
No update. We'll see how he progresses this week, but I expect him to be full go today at practice.
Kevin, is the plan right now for him to play Sunday?
The plan is to practice Wednesday, see how it goes this week, but I'm not ruling him out.
Would this be the first time he's been full go?
I'd have to check.
Kevin, we talked about Baker making that tackle and him kind of mixing it up. That competitiveness, is that part of just kind of what makes Baker Baker?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have heard me say it many times. He's a very competitive player. He's a very competitive person. He's fiery. The tackle itself, obviously, we want to get him on the ground without getting hurt. So that's a learning lesson, obviously. But, you know, his teammates respond to him. And certainly in moments where he's gutting things out and he's showing his toughness, I think your teammates respond to that.
Will he be full in practice?
I'll have to see how it goes.
Kevin, what do you want him to do, like in a pick situation like that? I know everyone is different. One, he may be way downfield. Another, he might be in position to knock somebody out of bounds. What's the coaching point there?
You know, you got to prevent a score. Any quarterback, the way we've taught him is they have to, number one, turn the ball back inside. And he did that. And then you got to try and get him on the ground. There's different techniques that you can use. That was kind of an awkward play. I think their defender looked to single him out, which, listen, he's trying to get him on the ground, so you become defenseless in that moment. But we got to get him on the ground, whether it's the quarterback or the receiver or the running back, whomever. If the ball's going the other way, you got to get him on the ground.
What about Baker blocking? I mean, I know it's admirable and everything, but he was doing it with one hand. He had a pancake and everything, but do you really want him doing that?
No. Sometimes you run those plays and you're telling the quarterback, hey, really, you just got to get this thing started in case somebody, it's not like he's not getting lead blocking tips from Stump Mitchell. So.
But is that sort of like the fine line, though, that you have to walk if you don't want to take that and get that competitiveness out of them?
Yes. Yes. We don't want to take the competitiveness out of him, but don't foresee him as a lead blocker very often.
Kevin, Tyrod Taylor had that touchdown run. Mm-hmm. So what do you guys have to do better defensively when you face a running quarterback like Field?
Yeah, we're going to have a challenge this week, Jeff, like you mentioned. Rush and coverage have to work together. And we got to be sticky in coverage, and we got to be true to our rush lanes. And then ultimately, when you're in location to get a player like Justin Fields on the ground or Tyrod Taylor, you got to get him on the ground. And it's really not a one-person job. It really takes all 11.
Kevin, what's the first thing that jumps out to you when you do watch Fields on tape?
Dynamic. He made plays with his arm. He had a nice throw into the end zone there in one of those drives. Made plays with his feet late. There's no shortage of things they can do with him. They have him kind of, and I'm sure now with a full week of practice, they can expand upon that.
Every player's come back from an injury so far this year. Is that a pitch count for you? Should we assume Odell would do?
Yeah, I'd have to think back, Tony, if everybody's on a pitch count. I think we just got to be smart with any player coming off of an injury. We try to be very mindful of what that player, where he is, and then make decisions on a case-by-case basis. But specific to Odell, if he plays in the game, I can't tell you that there would be a pitch count or not. I really wouldn't know.
Kevin Jarvis out. We saw Hollywood have a big step up in the amount of plays. Is there one guy, is it Hollywood, that you would see given more opportunity with Jarvis being out?
No, I'd say it's like anything, you don't replace Jarvis, but guys have to step up, and those opportunities will go elsewhere. Remains to be seen who gets those opportunities, but certainly you lose a player of Jarvis's caliber, you have to have guys that step up.
One question on that Bears defense. It seemed like Khalil Mack lines up a lot of times on the offensive right side. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of good because we know Jed battling an injury or might be a backup? Is it kind of a blessing maybe that he'll be up against Jack most of the game?
Well, Robert Quinn's a pretty good rusher on the other side. That defense plays right and left, something that they've done there for a long time. So you got Akeem Hicks on the right, Khalil Mack on the right. They do a nice job. It's a really good scheme. Coach Desai's been there for a long time under Chuck Pagano and Coach Fangio, so you see elements of that. And it's Coach Desai's third game, so we'd expect to see something that we haven't seen to date.
Kevin, you seem to like to run a fair amount of 13 personnel, but then also kind of spread it out too, when you're in that kind of personnel grouping. What is it that you like about doing that?
I'd say, Dan, it goes back to so much discussion about versatility. I think when you have multiple tight ends on the field, it can be advantageous to the offense to align them in different spots. So the defense can't hear 13 personnel and go through the mental check of, or it's definitely going to be this formation, because it can be multiple formations. I think we're fortunate to have guys that can line up in different spots and can excel at different spots.
Kevin, another with Odell, what kind of boost could he give you, especially given the fact that you won't have, your other starting receiver for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, Scott, I tell you, we'll see how it goes, but Odell's been great out here at practice. He's working really hard. He's got a ton of reps between just him and Baker, gotten a ton of reps in 7-on-7 and the team drills. So I think the guys recognize that he's a dynamic football player.
With that, you said the other day that he was no worse for wear for playing Sunday. Is the hope that he'll be able, or do you think he'll be able to practice at some point this week?
I do.
Kevin, a follow-up on what Matt was asking you about Khalil Mack. Just what makes him so challenging? How much does he have to do when you call this a dominant defense? How much is he a part of it?
Yeah, he's a huge part of it. Having faced him a bunch of times when I was with the Vikings, just the combination of speed and power, his bend, he plays hard. He's good against the run, good against the pass. I mean, he's an outstanding football player.
Kevin, we hear Chase hitting the back. You guys have some practice now. What's the biggest challenge? Is it just space because it's so much smaller to practice?
In here?
Yeah, excited.
We get it done. It's obviously not a 100-yard field, but we're just kind of close quarters, but we get it done.
Kevin, when you talk about your defense, do you is patience required given all the new faces on there, especially some of the young guys in that back seven?
Yeah, I think certainly with younger players, you're going to have some growing pains, offense, defense, and special teams. But listen, we want to make sure that we're playing good, sound defensive football. We've done that at a bunch of moments, and then there's some moments that we just got to clean up, and we recognize that. And the players and the coaches, we're working hard to make sure that we get better as the season goes on.
Would you say too many of those moments happen on third down?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's obvious that we got to do a better job on third down.
Malcolm was saying it was technique things you thought was that mostly it on D?
No, it's never one thing, And when you say technique, it sounds like you're saying it was the player's fault. So that's not the case. We need to do a better job as a team, coaches, players. We just got to do a better job.
Good.
Okay, thanks, guys.
All right, you guys are up. All right, a lot going on there, and we welcome you into the program. Welcome into Cleveland Browns Daily. Merely Beau, the great Z, on a first Friday, and a lot of news there, buddy. At the start of the press conference from Coach Stefanski, you get the news. It was made public by the Bears that Justin Fields, the former Ohio State standout, will make his NFL debut his starting NFL debut here at First Energy Field First Energy Stadium on Sunday. And then the one that's the headliner is the Odell news, or not news, I guess, as it were. We last week Coach Stefanski started his press conference, and one of the things he addressed was that Odell would be down this week. He says that he expects him to be a full go at practice today, but beyond that, there was no commitment beyond that, and it's a tricky injury. So it's something we'll see how the rest of this week goes before you're going to know anything come Sunday.
As we said, there are both physical and mental components coming from this return. I think if you follow Odell on social media, it looks things are trending towards him coming back. I think that is the hope right now, which is why he was not ruled out today, and then we'll see how things progress. Now, he said he will practice in full today. He was asked, has he done that before? On the injury reports, he's been limited. So my guess would be no. So in some ways, that's a signal of, okay, we're going to go and get him all the work and get ready to play this football game on Sunday at First Energy Stadium against Justin Field and the Bears with Odell Beckham Jr., but that will not probably be official, I'm guessing, until Sunday. And it's not a thing that there are a lot of questions. I bet there will be no updates between now and then, or if they just decide, okay, yes, he is going, or no, he is not. But my expectation has been since last week he would play this week against the Chicago Bears. I still believe that. And if he were not playing for sure, that would be known right now.
Yeah, and I think you make a good distinction there in terms of you won't know officially. I think you're right until Sunday. You may know between the next couple of days if something isn't right that he's officially down.
Sure.
But you will not get it officially up, I don't think, until Sunday. There's just no reason to do that. There's nothing that pushes you to that end from the Browns' perspective. So that's where you stand at this point. Again, if you follow him on social, then I think it's very clear that he's playing. I mean, you don't have to read between the lines very hard to make it seem like he's going to play this week. But we'll see. Nothing official yet, but a full go from camp from Coach Stefanski there. This game just got a whole lot more interesting.
Absolutely.
It was anyway. I mean, it's the third game, your second home game. It's two traditional behemoth programs in ours and the Bears. You cannot write the history of this league without those two franchises featured prominently. We don't play them that often, and haven't played them here in a while, right? It's been more than a minute since we played them here.
I mean, the last time we played them was 17.
Was there.
That was there.
And so it would have been 4 years before that. 13 would have been the last time you played them at home. And we played them at home in 14 in the preseason.
I mean, we played them. They were the last preseason game for like 5 or 6 straight years.
Isaiah Crowell had the big run in the 2014 preseason game number 4.
Yeah. So it's been a minute.
Since 13. When it's an NFC team, now this is going to change with the advent of the 17th game.
Right.
Because now you pick up Arizona here. Typically, you play an NFC team once every 8 years in your building.
Okay, so we're at the full 8 then, right?
Yeah, because that had never been the 17th game before. Because now we picked up Arizona when we wouldn't have. We played Arizona. Remember when Carson Palmer was here? That had to be 15, 16-ish, so we picked them up ahead of schedule, and that'll just be based on the divisions you go against.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a beautiful game. I mean, the two traditional
uniforms are
uniforms
gonna be
and
spectacular. You wonder how traditional the uniforms will be.
Oh.
Just a wonder.
You wondered. I mean, you just wondered.
It's just a wonder.
Well, we're all that, right? I mean, at this point. Well, no, not all that. Not all that. All right. And then you add to it potentially Odell Beckham Jr. returning.
Right.
Certainly looks that way. And then I think he's the best quarterback to ever play at Ohio State. I think Justin Fields is the best quarterback they've ever had there. And they've had some good ones, but I think he is. And he's going to get his start here, back in the Buckeye State, where he won a lot of football games down the road in Columbus. So, look, go ahead.
I just have one stat real quick to throw out that I think will summarize the potential differences in this game now that it will be Justin Fields versus Andy Dalton. And one of them is simply this. Andy Dalton's attempted 49 passes this year. 0 have been more than 29 yards in the air.
Yeah.
Justin Fields has attempted 15 passes this year. 3 of them have been more than 20 yards in the air. So he is not afraid to push it down the field. He is not afraid to tuck it and to run. You look at scrambles. He's scrambled 4 times so far this year. Dalton, not much of a scrambler. And they'll do design runs for him. I think he ended up with 10 carries in that game a week ago. So it is a very different animal for the Browns to face, but you also don't have to deal with the experience. You will be able to, I think, hopefully confuse him.
Sure.
And this is a week, I think, for our defense to maybe be a little aggressive.
Yeah, I think either way you could have been. I think you could have been aggressive with Dalton because he's not going to go down the field.
Yep.
And it's just going to be a different type of aggression with Justin Fields.
Yes.
And it's going to be more about confusion. And those type of things. So it's a fun one. And we will introduce you to the Chicago Bears and get you a feel for one of the great franchises, certainly, as they come in here on Sunday over the course of the next couple of hours. I want to tell you about my friends from Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's presents the other rules of football. Rule 1, serving cooked-to-order chicken finger meals always earns you extra points. Rule 2, there's no penalty for excessive cane sauce dipping. Raising Cane's is ready to tackle all your chicken finger game day needs when it comes to winning on game day. Cane's rules, one love, and a proud sponsor of the Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks. We'll get you a progress report from an injury standpoint with our guys. We have some transactions to report as well. That is coming up next as we're off and running on a First Friday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. You got an arc out there for us to get home?
Boy, I don't know. It appears that Lou Groza Boulevard is a river right now. I feel like I can see a current, and I'm not just if that's the wind and the sheets of rain that are coming, but I feel like I see moving water.
There is on the
Lou
north
Groza
side.
Boulevard.
There appears to be
A river.
a river.
A river runs through it.
Oh.
Cross Country Mortgage Campus. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll never leave Montana, brother. A river runs through it. That's right.
Maybe we'll all just be stuck here.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
That was That was a big film in my household
in your
growing
youth.
up.
Yeah, and an emotional tie because your brother obviously is still there, and while he was not murdered by bootleggers,
thank goodness.
Not
Yellowstone
everything.
pretty much sums it up now. Costner out there doing God's work.
A lot of similarities, I'm sure, with your upbringing to the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch.
Yeah, well, I was having a conversation with a good friend yesterday about just the incredible fortitude, survivability of young calves and horses who just hit the ground running. Doesn't matter if it's a polar vortex. Doesn't matter if their ears or tails are frozen off. They find a way. I boil it down to
even if ears and tails freeze off completely,
still good.
Fascinating, interesting.
Well, this is what I boil it down to.
Okay.
There are two schools of thought about a lot of things that explain a lot of behaviors, a lot of outcomes.
Yeah.
There are two camps.
Yep.
There's the nature camp.
Yep.
There's the nurture camp. Nature always wins. That's what I say.
Crab cakes and football, baby. Good job out of you.
It's what we do.
Good job out of you.
In Maryland.
In Montana, apparently. Yeah. All right, let's get into the OBM Hot Topics. Preferred copy provider, your Cleveland Browns. Have all the X's and O's for your office. Call 216-485-2000.
Senior Swag's got an umbrella.
Ohio Business
He's not messing around out there in the umbrella.
Fully
You got to have
suited.
the umbrella. It's smart.
Look at the brown.
That's why he's running the company. He's a thinking man.
Did you see the shoes he's wearing?
Yes. You can't
Look
get
at
those wet.
Of course.
You can't get those wet.
He even came back.
Yeah, he knew.
He knew what we were talking about.
Yeah.
I saw those loafers.
That's a beautiful loafer.
Speaking of your childhood raised around the horses, that was a bit loafer on that.
A bit, if you will,
as you know, because
that's
a
where you
bit
get the
that a
reins
horse.
in there.
Yeah, so that's what he has.
Huh?
I don't know why you're acting surprised. Of course you would know that. Of course you would know that. Surprising that I knew that.
That's what I was shocked.
But
about.
that was a
you don't
beautiful.
See, you don't see many bits.
That was a beautiful mahogany loafer.
It was.
Did I go on? I felt like I went the right shade on that.
Yeah,
they were a mahogany.
I felt like it also.
It's definitely not a cognac. It was darker than a cognac.
Yes.
It was a more true
I
deep
feel like
brown.
George Washington would have worn a similar style, doing something of great importance as an early president of the United States.
Of course. Senior Swag gives us the text on what they were.
Well, in case the people. Well,
just for the people.
Yeah.
They are what you think they are.
They are. Yeah.
They are what you think they are, kids, because that's how he rolls. What a human.
That's right.
So spectacular. Yeah. All right, injury report for us. Not practicing today. JC, Chris Hubbard, Jedrick Wills, and Sione Takitaki.
Just don't even pay attention to JC not practicing. That's just, I feel like he's entering a Hoffian practice schedule, and I don't think that it doesn't. This has no bearing on Sundays.
Yeah.
Hubbard is trying to come back from an injury that kept him out of a game. Coach did say he thinks Jed will practice later in the week, but I got to tell you, Blake Hance did a heck of a job once he filled in on Sunday for Jed Wills. Taki with the hamstring, he called that week to week. I think it's unlikely that we will have Taki available on Sunday at this point.
Yeah. I think that's the crack in the code on that front, on the week-to-week, day-to-day standpoint. Also, Davion Davis, who was such a star of camp, he is back in the mix after his 2-game suspension. He's been signed to the practice squad. He's a unique player. He's an intriguing player. I'm glad he's back because he had an ability to track the ball that was pretty special.
Guy was a monster at Sam Houston State, and that one great highlight that Chad O'Shea showed to the receiver room. Then he went out and basically made a catch almost as spectacular against the Jacksonville Jags. He was a leading receiver in preseason game 1. He was a leading receiver in preseason game 2. He finished the preseason as your leading receiver. He caught everything. He made a lot of plays, and I really feel he's a guy that is worth developing and keeping around. And the Browns, they Bradley from on their practice squad. Davion Davis is a guy that I think, if they needed to, they could bring him up. Same with Bradley, who played well when he was called up against the Jets a year ago. So you've got some nice kind of young receiving talent and prospects that can get good work in, give you some good scout team looks, because it's important. You need those guys to give you good looks in the scout team. And you have Chad O'Shea, the venerable Chad O'Shea, to help develop them. I like this. I think this is great that he was able to come back. And I think, as I mentioned, if we were to go back and replay some old episodes of the podcast, that was my go-back sound.
That,
yeah, thank you very much.
Kids don't even know what that is anymore.
No, you had to rewind the tape. And
Remember
that? Yeah, you got some great sounds.
You just move the thing.
Move the cursor over, and it starts right there after some buffering, perhaps. But I said the fact that he was suspended for 2 games made it much more likely that he would remain in this organization than had he not. I think coming off of that preseason, there's a chance that somebody might have taken a shot on him right away.
Yeah.
But now that they're into the season, a couple of games, you don't want to have to come in and get acclimated while you're into game weeks. You would have had 2 weeks to get him ready. Now it'd be like, you're in, let's go.
Yeah.
The Browns were able to get him, went through waivers, and the Browns have him back on the practice squad, which I think is a good thing for him. He's excited about it. He wanted to be here, and the Browns now have him.
How many do you think receivers are active Sunday?
5.
5.
Counting Felton.
Okay. So 5. Yeah, that seems to be the number. So.
Yeah. And that would be Odell. It would be DPJ, Hollywood, Higgins, Schwartz, Felton. Could it be that they add another to play some special teams coverage, and maybe Jamarcus Bradley, who's been here a while and been in the system, he could do that? I don't know, but I would expect 5.
It's a smart job out of you, because we're down linebackers, and so when you're making out special teams, it's running backs, it's linebackers, it's secondary guys, receivers.
Yep.
So it's a good job out of you to draw that conclusion.
Because Hollywood really doesn't play special.
Right.
Odell doesn't really play special teams. Hollywood doesn't really play special teams. DPJ does a little bit. Schwartz, I don't think, really plays special teams, and Felton does.
Yeah.
So
you got to have people to make up that number, so you could get there at that point.
Right, because Taki's a core special teams player.
We're going to meet the Bears in a second. I want to run something by you,
please,
as an intellectual such as yourself.
Thank you.
Do you co-sign this statement that music right now is more timeless than ever? And what I mean by that is, when we're on our way to our Saturday football games with the boys, the music that they choose is Hell's Bells, Welcome to the Jungle, Thunderstruck. Those are the songs that they want to hear. Now, some of it is I've exposed them to that, and they've seen football to those songs, so that's the pump-up stuff. And the reason I bring it to your attention is, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it, is they have no concept of when these songs came out, because there is no dating to it.
Yep.
It's just something on a screen that they say, Dad, hit the button, play
like
this. There's a timeless music has always been something that transcends
I thought you were
generations.
Saying that today's music being produced
no,
was timeless. No, what you're saying is
I think music the date of when the music is produced has never been more meaningless.
I think that's fair, and it's never, because you can go on Spotify and you just go, oh, hey, I like the Doors, but you might not have any framework as a young person for when the Doors were around. You just said, oh, I heard this song was by the Doors. Let me go to Spotify, and it's right there. You used to have to find the album. You used to have to go search it out. And guess what? If it was an old one, you'd have to go to a vintage shop where you'd have to go
get the record.
Right. That's what I mean.
The tape. You had to go all of that. Now
you waited for releases.
Correct.
Now it's just all in your streaming service, and it's just one big kind of amalgamation.
They can tell no difference from a song in my kids. They can tell no difference from a song in their mind in terms of when it came out, whether it's 1985, 2005, or 2019. It all sounds the same in their minds. Because they have no point of reference of time when it comes to music.
Well, that's the thing too, is that because of how readily available music of all genres and eras is right now. I wonder if your kids, for example, will have those songs that hearken to a specific era. And what you're saying is, I believe that they will not.
They will not. I don't think they will.
My father, your father, I would imagine, if they hear the Doors or they're hearing Jimi Hendrix, it's taking them back to their youth. It's Vietnam.
Absolutely.
All of that stuff. I don't know that they're...
No, when they hear Paint It Black, they don't think about Vietnam. They think about this song gets me jacked and ready to go. Yeah. They don't think about what it means.
I see a red door.
It's just right,
and I want to paint it black.
And the song is great now. It's as good now as it was then. And to them, there's no timestamp on it. we have that same experience, whether you and I are similar age, whether it's, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, or even, the rap that you think about Snoop and Dre and all that stuff that happened. That's why when we had Snoop in here, what a moment. One of the great moments. I can't remember who came in the building, but said, I can't remember, Gibby, if you passed it along to us, but Snoop Dogg is going to be on the show. And we went, wait, what? Like, we found out about it in the show. We were on the show live. And all of a sudden, the desk was different, and we saw Mr. Dog walk up the stairs.
You, in fact, introduced him as Mr. Dog.
Yes.
He walked up the stairs.
Yeah, I got to sit next to him because I was on this side still.
Yeah, you did. There's great. And I think, Gibby, thank God you took photos of it. It's surreal. But he walked in, and all of a sudden, he just walked in, and we sat him down. I don't even know if he knew what he was signing up for, but he was live on the radio.
He had a great time.
Snoop,
reminisce.
Stone Cold.
Those were two of the best.
Yeah.
Those are two Mount Rushmores.
We had those in the same season.
Stone Cold's intensity was just, and his magnetism was off the charts.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the Freddie year, right? When there was all the juice, and that was the year, I think.
Feels
was
like
it that year?
Was it 19?
Or was it Baker's rookie year?
I
think it was.
Might have been Baker's.
It just came up in my
might have been Baker's
Google
rookie
photos
year
for some reason.
I know Jarvis was here for sure because Snoop talked about. Well, yeah.
I don't know.
Was it 18
Stone
or 19?
Cold, it might have been 19. Because
it might have been Baker.
He filmed with Baker because Baker was coming off the year.
Yeah.
It
might have been 19.
It was an off season because they had all the toys across the street.
Right. Yeah. That was amazing. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Snoop's bus just literally just parked in the front.
And he just walked upstairs and sat down.
Legendary.
That was ridiculous. It was so cool. That was so cool. All right, we'll figure out exactly what year that was. We will also meet the Bears. It's coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
All right, you are up.
Hey, Beau Bishop here on Cleveland Browns Daily for my friends at EOX Vantage, that local presence, the global footprint trusted by some of the world's biggest brands. This is a testimonial from EOX Vantage client Tom Darty. He's the Senior Vice President of Specialty Groups at the NIT Group. He says, quote, I have a saying about working with EOX Vantage, if you dream it, they can build it. We generate lots of ideas for them to carry out. They've implemented everything we've come up with. We brainstorm ways to innovate and improve our company. We use EOX Vantage for their infrastructure, coding, and programming capabilities, technological expertise, and experience working with those global brands. We are absolutely thrilled with the partnership, and you can be too. And you can learn more about EOX Vantage by visiting www.eoxvantage.com or call 216-298-1616. Again, local company here, guys. 216-298-1616. So 2018, October 2018 for Snoop here in studio.
Yes. Right at
Mark it, dude.
Mark it, dude. Demerit.
I got to get my...
That's one.
Slash.
He's so quick to dance
so
on your grade.
Oh, he's so happy. That's all right. I love dance.
Did you win or lose in fantasy this week?
Across my 5 leagues, I went 4-1. Thank you very much, Gibbe.
You did lose one, though.
I did lose one, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sad. Hate to see it.
Yeah,
that's the standard, though. You set, though. It's the standard you set.
4-1.
A loss.
Maybe I should be throwing
a.
Maybe I should be throwing a parade like Cheste Gibbe for going 4-1. 4-1. That's it gets you excited.
We're not even ready for 8-2.
Maybe you should.
Maybe I should.
I mean, next week could be different.
Could be. Stone Cold was in May of 19.
That's right.
Stone,
as I like to call him.
Stone and Mr. Dog.
Stone and Mr. Dog.
Yeah, Stone Cold had there's an intensity to Stone that was pretty real.
Yeah,
that was a real one.
It was good.
Yeah. All right, let's meet the Bears, the team of my youth, the Chicago Bears.
So I would like to begin our introduction of the Bears by going off of this is in their media guide.
Okay.
That they have provided. Here is
Simone, I'm sure, was responsible for this.
Here is their depth chart.
Okay.
As it is laid out by.
All right, I have my pen, so I'll take
the
notes.
Chicago Bears. Okay. We'll just go right down the order as it is written.
As it is written.
Wide receivers. These are your starters now.
Okay.
Wide receiver 1, Nasimba Webster, Brashad Perriman, Demir Bird. Those are your three starting receivers. By looking up their
hold please.
By looking up their stats, they've combined for 3 catches for 19 yards, all of which are Demir Beards. Now, as we continue
Demir Beard?
Yeah.
Like the family with the diamonds? I don't know who that is.
Bird.
Oh, Bird.
Bird.
I think you said
I
Beard.
did say Beard.
Like De Beers.
Like the Beers. Demir
Bird.
Okay.
And then Nasimba Webster was the first one?
Yeah, Nasimba.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then former Brown Brashad Perriman. Now,
Yep.
Nasimba Webster and Brashad Perriman don't have receptions on the season.
Brashad Perriman, I know.
Okay. Here's where things start to get more interesting. You may be saying right now already a wide receiver.
Interesting.
It feels
like there's someone missing that
feels very
pretty good and catches things.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Left tackle Jason Peters. This is accurate. Left guard Cody Whitehair. Center Cody Whitehair.
He's busy.
Right guard Alex Bars. Right tackle Elijah Wilkinson. Tight end Jimmy Graham. Quarterback.
I know him.
Andy Dalton.
Not accurate.
Halfback Damian Williams. Your second team receivers.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson.
Oh, there he is.
Darnell Mooney. Marquise Goodwin, who are your 3 leading receivers on the season.
Why did they do this?
Okay, it gets better. Your second string quarterback on this depth chart is Nick Foles,
who has not been active, mind you.
Your second string halfback is Khalil Herbert or Hebert.
Hebert. Wow.
Your third string quarterback is Justin Fields.
Oh, that's nice.
Your third string running back, according to this depth chart, is David Montgomery, who leads your team with 36 carries, 169 yards rushing, a touchdown, and has 4 catches for 28 yards.
Maybe a bigger role than okay.
Now let's go to the defensive side, shall we?
Oh, don't tell me.
Defensive end 1, Bilal Nichols. Defensive tackle, Akeem Hicks. Yep, that's right. Nose tackle, Eddie Goldman. Also right. Outside linebacker 1, Jeremiah Atucho.
Okay.
Outside linebacker 2, Trevis Gibson.
Khalil Mack's not starting for them?
Inside linebackers, Roquan Smith.
Well, that's real.
And Alec Ogletree, real.
Well, that's an incredible – they got great depth. They've drafted well. If these guys have pushed Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn out of the starting –
Cornerback 1, Jalen Johnson. He does start for them. Cornerback 2, Kindle Vildor. Don't know if he starts for them. I have to do more research on Kindle. Safety 1, DeAndre Houston Carson. He does not start for them. Safety 2, Deion Bush also doesn't start. Here's some of the names on your second-team defense. Robert Quinn, who leads the team with 1.5 sacks.
Yeah.
Outside linebacker, second string. Khalil Mack.
Running with the twos.
Outside linebacker, second string. Safeties, Tashawn Gibson Sr., running with the second team, and Eddie Jackson, also running with the second team. This is as of September 21st, 2021.
Yesterday.
What's going on right here?
Why would you do – what would be the – is it just, hey, all right, so just for the folks out there. So, and we do this too. Like the initial depth chart that comes out early in the week is one that is generated from PR. It is not generated from the coaching staff, right?
Yeah,
so that's
right.
And we all get that, but they do the best that they can. The idea is we think this is how it's going to be, and usually when you're doing this, you just will play it very vanilla. Hey, we know these guys are going to be here, so those are the guys that are there. Of course, this does not reflect the thoughts and the opinions of the coaches because we haven't had a week of practice, but this is how you think it's going to be. So what would be the motivation for Bears PR to do that?
I don't know. Another thing I missed on the offense is that Jermaine Ifedi, who is the starting right tackle and has played every single offensive snap, is listed as the third-string right tackle. I don't know.
I mean, the only thing I can think is that it has been contentious over there for a month and a half about the Fields-Dalton stuff between the media in Chicago and Matt Nagy, and I just wonder if this is their way of just sticking it to him.
So putting Allen Robinson and Khalil Mack on the
putting
second team,
putting
David
just
Montgomery
putting
on
a
the
nonsense depth chart out for the sake of doing nonsense.
Well,
that's the only thing. I can't think of any other scenario why you would put a depth chart out like that.
Well, how about the fact that you've got Cody Whitehair starting in 2 spots?
Well, this is what I'm saying. So can you come up with a better explanation than the one I gave? I can't. It's the best I can do on my state school brain.
On this.
What do you got? Sorry, I was editing an interview that we're going to play at 2:30.
Well, we won't run through everything, but
I've
you've
heard
seen
it
their
going
depth
on.
chart, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard you talking about
the best that I can come up with as to why you would do this is that it's been a contentious month and a half over there between the local media and the coach over the Fields-Dalton handling. And this is PR sticking it to the media.
We will make this as useless as possible.
We're going to make this as useless as possible so you can't even write about it. That's the only thing that I can – again, state school. I got nothing better than that. I don't know what the other motivation would be. I can't come up with anything.
Yeah, what gamesmanship do you gain from that? Because all you have to do is turn on and watch the tape if your coach is here.
Yeah, Gibby, that's why I don't think it has anything to do with us or gamesmanship. I think it's sticking it to them.
Gibby, we are well aware that Allen Robinson and Khalil Mack are starters. They're not fooling. There's no.
That's what I mean. It's not. They've
got a guy on the offensive line starting at center and left guard.
Khalil Mack does not start on the depth chart.
Maybe they just went to maybe Simon did it.
David Montgomery.
That's
the
what I
third
said. I
string
blamed him right away.
I could be Simone.
David Montgomery. I would be fun if they. But imagine throwing Justin Fields to the Wolves like that. No Allen Robinson, no David Montgomery.
Good luck. You've got to play with Nick
Webster, Foles, actually. It would be
Perriman,
Nick Foles.
Bird.
A guy playing center and guard.
And only 4 offensive linemen.
Guy snapping it and sliding over.
Whitehair's amazing.
He really is.
What a stud.
Good luck with the Maliks.
This is really one of the most
It's the best I can come up with. It's the best I can come up with.
Depth charts I've ever seen. Have we seen any commentary from the Bears media about this depth chart? Because this is, this typically goes around the beat. Oh, unofficial depth chart release for the week.
I have not, but
I
will acknowledge that I don't follow
from a couple of the guys at the Tribune and a couple people that I would.
Now, a buddy of mine is in PR over there. I could text him.
I'd like you to get. I would love some type of an insight into this because I find this to be fascinating. Tashawn Gibson and Eddie Jackson, who are both listed as second teamers, have played every single defensive snap this season for the Chicago Bears. DeAndre Houston Carson and Deion Bush, who are listed as starters, have played 17 snaps and 1 snap, respectively.
Are they suspended for a quarter for violation of team rules?
If they are, they're not playing. These are the people, if this depth chart is to be believed, here are the people who are suspended in the world of Gibbe that we will not see. or listed as backups. Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, Marquise Goodwin, Justin Fields, David Montgomery, Robert Quinn, Khalil Mack, Tashawn Gibson, and Eddie Jackson. Great, sure, fine.
It's a heck of a night, man.
Little different
Heck
scores.
of a night.
A little different on the scores, I would say, with all those people. So I would imagine it is what it is. I'll text my buddy, and we'll get to the bottom of it. In terms of what the Bears are, and all of those people will be playing, what they've been the first 2 games, Z, is not what they will be on Sunday. It'll be very, very different with Justin Fields.
It will be, and they've been an offense that has been conservative. They have been a team that, much like the Browns in the game where they lost the turnover battle, they were beaten. In the game where they won the turnover battle, they won. Now, let's not forget, they turned the ball over 4 times and scored a defensive touchdown against the Bengals and won 20-17. They had 4 takeaways, gave it away once, and won 20-17. This is a team that's got some very good players. But when you go in and you look at the stats, and again, some of this obviously has to do with Andy Dalton. We know that. But not all of it, because Justin Fields in his limited time out there is averaging 4.7 yards per attempt. Dalton was averaging 5.3. Allen Robinson is averaging 7 yards a catch. Darnell Mooney is averaging 8 yards a catch. Damiere Byrd is averaging 6 yards a catch. Marquise Goodwin leads the team, averaging 11 yards per reception. That is the leading yards per catch guy on this entire football team. They've run it well. Montgomery's getting you 5 yards a carry, 84.5 yards per game on the ground. But so far, there's been a complete lack of verticality in their passing game. As I said earlier, Dalton had not even attempted a single pass of more than 20 yards in the air. Now Fields did it on 20% of his attempts in his brief action, but he also struggled. I mean, 8 of 15 for 70 yards with a pick. Not great.
No.
They've not been a good offensive football team since Matt Nagy's been there, frankly.
No. And I think it's, it's just a totally – you can just really throw out the tape, even the Fields stuff from last week, because what they're going to put Fields in a position to do this week is very different than what he was done last week. He's going to have a full week to prepare. They are going to put together a set of plays and a plan that plays to his skill set. I think you'll see him a lot on the edge. I think it'll be a lot of RPO stuff, a lot of the stuff he ran at Ohio State to great success. He's got a big-time arm. He's got big-time wheels. He's a total threat. I mean, I think when I compare him to the guys that I've seen come out in the last decade from a talent standpoint, and I think he throws maybe a better ball coming out of college than even this guy, is Deshaun Watson. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to have Deshaun Watson's skill, but in terms of accomplishment and from a prospect perspective, that's kind of what he is. He's a bigger, thicker Deshaun Watson. That's who he was at Ohio State. That's how great he played in that scheme. That's how big his arm is. His arm's actually probably a little stronger than Watson's, and he's just as elusive. So
if he's that good, then the Falcons are out of their minds.
I believe they should have. I thought he was the second best quarterback in this draft. So I think they should have. And in terms of – but the other thing with Watson was – and this goes back to the thing with Fields that's tricky is – and we've seen it here countless times. Do you put a guy in a position to succeed? And is this a situation – this is the last place I wanted him as a guy who rooted for him. Like, I wanted him with Kyle. I wanted him in Denver. You know, you did not want him in Chicago. You didn't. But he's there. And if anyone can get over – I mean, folks, there is no situation in sports like the position of quarterback for the Chicago Bears historically.
Nope.
There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. I mean, you think about not only go back to Otto and Sipe and Bernie and now Baker, all the things that we've had at quarterback, even the Lions. My gosh, they had Stafford for a decade. The Bears had nobody.
Nobody. They've never had a 4,000-yard passer in their history. I don't think they've ever had anybody throw for 30 touchdowns in their history. Jim McMahon is the quarterback that you would most associate with the Bears' glory, and I'm not sure. There were a lot of people probably could have played quarterback on that defense that would have won a Super Bowl.
You're exactly right, and it's his personality that makes you think that he was better than he was. He was a gutsy player, but they didn't win on his arm. Far from it. And Cutler was – I remember when when they traded for Cutler, you thought, okay, maybe finally, because he was off to a nice start to his career playing for the Shanahans in Denver. But it didn't carry over. So, they now, despite it, they've been very good. I mean, they got to a Super Bowl with Rex Grossman.
All right, Gibbe, hop on real quick.
Ready.
We'll guess the stats with Gibbe.
Ooh.
Jim McMahon. I want you to hit me with his best season in terms of passing yards and touchdowns. Best season of passing yards and touchdowns. What do you think he had? Jim McMahon.
I feel like 3,000's a lot in his day.
Okay. 1985.
Can I give mine after Gibby gives his?
Yes.
I haven't looked it up.
1985 goes to the Pro Bowl. 1985 is the answer for both of these. 1985 goes to the Pro Bowl, undefeated as a starting quarterback, 13 games.
2,700 yards and 22 touchdowns.
Okay.
I bet he's very close. I
Okay.
bet my guess would have been around 28 and 19.
Okay. In his best and most prolific season in his career, Jim McMahon threw for 2,392 yards.
Even less.
And he topped out his best touchdown season in his career at 15 touchdowns.
That's insane.
Jim McMahon threw for double-digit touchdowns at exactly 5 times in his career, 12, 15, 12, 10, 12.
That's like Trent Dilfer playing with the Ravens.
11 picks,
The year they won the
184 yards per game, 82 quarterback rating. He never eclipsed 61% completions. In fact, it was over 60% just 2 times, 60.1 and 60.4. Just a different game, folks.
It was a different game, and he laments even in the 85 Bears 30 for 30 about how they would not let him throw the ball. And it drove him nuts. And he threw it.
They had some good wide receivers.
Willie Gault was on that team. They also he was a prolific passer at BYU. So he played on in that BYU Lavelle Edwards aired out era. But he laments that they never let him throw it. But let's understand 2 things on this. Number one, they didn't need to.
No.
They shut everybody out. I mean, they were ridiculous defensively that year. And the other thing about it is they happened to have a guy named Walter Payton at running back in an era when that mattered. So I think the most remarkable thing to me when discussing Jim McMahon is that a quarterback who has that statistical accumulation that you have is still as synonymous with that team as Richard Dent or Steve McMichael or Mike Singletary or Buddy Ryan or Mike Ditka or Walter Payton. When you think of 85 Bears, one of the first things you think of is Jim McMahon.
Yes.
And he was so out front, and they loved him. He was so out front. Remember he challenged Rozelle?
This to me,
with
I
the
do.
Headbands?
Oh, yeah. This is fascinating. So he was a winning starting quarterback with 3 teams in the NFL. Chicago, obviously, in 85 went 11-0 that year. In 91 with Philly, he goes 8-3 as a starter. He completes 60% of his passes, 2,239 yards, 12 touchdowns, 11 picks. 1993 with Minnesota, he goes 8-4 as a starter. He throws for 1,968 yards, 9 touchdowns, 8 picks.
Game
and
manager.
goes 8-4. Not even a game manager. I mean,
not when you're throwing almost 50% picks.
He also, Gibbe, would have fit into your mental picture of Matthew Stafford. He managed in a career that spanned 15 years to play 10 games in a season only 5 times.
Yeah.
Just like Stafford.
Career win. Listen to this. His career record, though, 67-30.
Winner.
67.
I don't know how.
How many of that?
30.
You get a pretty good start where you go
46-0
with the 85 Bears.
46-15 with the Bears.
You said he was 13-0 with the Bears in 85?
Yeah.
So that would have meant that Steve Fuller started the game in Miami when they lost on Monday Night Football. It was not McMahon.
It was not McMahon. He did not lose that season.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just
it's amazing.
Bonkers.
He was such a monster personality, though. And when you think of that team, you think of him.
You go to Pro Football Reference to get his stats, and the picture they chose is a picture of him wearing a headband that says Rozelle on the headband.
See?
It's great.
Yeah. And he would fight with Ditka. I mean, that team was so volatile. It was so volatile.
Nuts.
Yeah, so.
I mean, the notion that his best season ever had him throw 15 touchdowns, even in that era, is still bonkers. In 1993, goes 8-4 and throws 9 touchdowns in 12 games with 8 picks and goes 8-4.
So compare the 85 McMahon season to the 84 Marino season.
Yeah.
Marino threw for 5,000 yards in 1984.
Such an outlier.
Right. Complete outlier in that era, certainly. So then you can imagine the next year when Miami beats them, and they played that 46 Bear defense, and Marino, he was the one guy because he had such a big arm and he had the two marks running, on the outside, and we just had one guy back there at safety. They couldn't get home. Marino's release was so quick.
Wild.
Fascinating. Going to be fun. Fun one on Sunday when they visit. You'll hear from our quarterback coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Football just isn't football without friends. Hey, watching the Browns alone means no one gets to hear your amazing in-game analysis. The same is true with gambling. Keep things social. Never gamble alone. It's just one of the helpful, responsible gambling tips you'll find at keepitfunohio.com. Our quarterback, Baker Mayfield, at the podium earlier today. It's a good session. A lot of fun in this one. Let's have a listen.
So much.
You guys are down 11 minutes.
Not having Jarvis in this game for you.
Yeah, I mean, Jarvis is obviously a big-time leader for us, big-time player. So, I mean, we just have to have a next-man-up mentality. You never want to have anybody go down, but we kind of hit on it after the game. It's next man up, and, somebody's going to have to fill that role. Those are big shoes to fill, so we're not asking anybody to do exactly what Jarvis does, but just to be themselves, and, we'll be just okay with that.
Do you expect to have Odell Monday?
We're seeing. I mean, that's not my call to make. Like we said before, it's whenever he's ready to roll. It's a long year, and we'll be ready to have him. Welcome in with open arms.
How's the non-throwing shoulder?
It's good. Hanging in there, attached still.
Kareem said he'd like to have you let him handle the tackling going forward. Is that the plan?
Well, he needs to get his ass up there and make it happen quicker. You're watching the tape, so Kareem's funny.
Hey, I mean, obviously you're a competitor. We know it. And you want to get in there, you want to try to make a play, or you want to pancake a cornerback with one arm. But have any of the coaches said, hey, we don't necessarily need you to take those risks?
I mean, I think on the interception, it's more so just be careful on how it's going. There's definitely plays where a defense is going to try and knock you out of the game. That's just the nature of the game, and just be careful.
Hey, Baker, Kevin's going to make his decisions based on strategy, but when he says go 4 on 4 for like the 2-point try in Kansas City, do you guys get a jolt out of that?
Yeah, I think, not necessarily for me, but for everybody else, that shows his belief in us to go get the job done, giving us multiple chances to do it. And most of the time, he gives us a heads up, hey, we're in 4-down territory. He also feels the flow of the game and how we're doing, how we're executing. And, I just think that gives guys confidence and that self-belief.
Baker, that your completion percentage is way up in the league. How pleased are you with that, and how important is that?
I mean, I'm very pleased with that because that goes for everybody. That's protection. That's everybody being in the right spot at the right time, accuracy, ball out on time. Those guys making plays and finishing the plays. So for us, that's a whole team stat, and I think that's just gives credit to everybody else as well.
And after the game, I asked you about the incompletion, the one incompletion you threw, and you said, I wish I'd taken that throw out.
Oh, yeah.
How much does decision-making play into a high completion rate?
I think game planning and preparation is a huge part of that completion percentage, and just being on the same page of, here's a certain look of guys, hey, the ball's going to come here, be ready for it. If you're a guy that might have to grab the attention of somebody on a route scheme, then it's just being on the same page, and we've done that so far, so we need to keep getting better.
Kind of off that, Baker, do you feel even more comfortable? Do you feel like Coach Stefanski is actually more comfortable even with you calling plays now, and that contributes to the high completion percentage?
Yeah, I think we've hit on it quite a bunch of that halfway point last year of the sitting down and talking through our schemes and what I was comfortable with and how he sees things, and I think we've just continued to grow ever since that point. And then also this training camp and being able to work some preseason game thoughts and see how different looks stack up against other defenses. I think that all contributes to the this continued success.
Baker, how much do you pay attention to what some of the other quarterbacks in the league are doing, particularly somebody like Tyler?
I try and just keep up with the guys that I've been friends with, have a history with, just to check in on them. I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm keeping up to compare, but I do know that Kyler's killing it right now, just from seeing the stat lines and whatnot, and just some of the highlight tapes that are being posted. So he's doing great right now.
How often do you get
every few weeks, we're both somewhat busy and we understand that. So we catch up for, a decent time period, and then it's off for a few weeks after that.
Demetrius Felton, what's he bringing to the table now?
He's a versatile guy. I hit on it a little bit after the game. He's he's got a little bit of running back history, also wide receiver skill set. So it's a matchup advantage for us to see how teams are going to try and defend him in man coverage, or if they want to play zone. So just trying to find ways to get the ball in his hands, and obviously good things happen when that happens.
Baker, I don't think you had Anthony on a post in the first quarter. Did you see him there and just not have enough time, playing?
Yeah, that was one of those on the third down. It's asking quite a bit from your O-line to block for a timing route like that. Obviously looking back, he's open, but that's one of those you got to trust it, you got to see it, and those guys have to hold up, and that's a tough job for them to be able to accomplish.
And I know Coach talked to Anthony about the pick. Did you have a discussion with him at all, or did he come up to you to talk to you about it?
Yeah, I mean we hashed it out. That's the trust factor of me playing on time, listening to my feet, the ball out when it's supposed to be. Obviously the safety was in a good position to break on the ball. It would have been a bang-bang play, but that's all the little things and the details, landmarks, depths that we've been harping on, and we need to continue to do that because we have 4 turnovers now, which we saw the stat that's tied for 24th in the league, which is that's not what we're about. So we need to continue to stress those little details and protect the football.
The second luxury to have those 3 running backs, Dimitri, Chubb, and Kareem, that can catch the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah.
For you as a quarterback, what does that do for you, especially now considering you lose Jarvis?
Yeah, I mean, having those extra completions with those guys, it's essentially an extension of our run game with the checkdowns and whatnot, and that's also goes along with what I just said about listening to my feet and some of our deeper passing schemes and checking it down and trusting that a positive play is a good one. We're going to have our shot plays. If it's not there, that's okay. We'll call it again and move on. And I think that's just the growth in our offense and guys being patient and just trusting the system.
Baker, what stands out about that Chicago defense?
I mean, they're extremely talented. Obviously their front is they're a very good front. I mean, they have a lot of depth up front. Linebackers are flowing. I mean, Roquan and Ogletree, they're playing well. I mean, I think Eddie Jackson's a great safety, and they find ways to create plays, and you've seen that over the past couple of weeks with some turnovers and them being very aggressive.
How much of a focus is Khalil Mack?
I mean, he's one of those guys that you got to know where he's at all the time. We're expecting him to be on our right side pretty much the whole time, and just game planning. And that's the type of guy that he's going to get his plays in. You just got to limit it and not let it be a game changer. And that's luckily we're able to practice against 2 pretty good guys on the edge as well. But you have to be ready for a guy like Khalil Mack, that's for sure.
I'll ask you about the running backs, but when you don't have a guy like Jarvis and we don't know about Odell yet, you go into a game thinking maybe it's going to be more tight end and more running backs, given you don't have any top guys?
Yeah, I mean, especially now that we're installing so far, for me, it's about still doing my job. We trust these guys, whether it's Schwartz, Higgy, Donovan. We played quite a bit with those guys last year, obviously minus Schwartz. So it's trusting those guys and me going through my reads and finding those completions, continue to stay on page and ahead of the chains. And I think that's the way this offense works.
You mentioned Higgins, Baker. He had the biggest snap jump from week 1 to week 2 when Jarvis went out. How nice is that to have somebody that's not a rookie like Schwartz or even just a year 2 guy like Donovan that you have a lot of reps with?
Yeah, it's great for those reasons when he goes down, because I don't think he was practicing at Jarvis's position. So for him to be able to fill in and step up, that takes a lot of communication, a lot of reps and experience from his part. So that's big time on his, for him to be able to be ready to go.
We've seen you roll out and you're able to flip your hips and shoulders and throw it to the other side. How tough are those throws to make? And when did you really become comfortable making that type of throw?
I think getting your hips set to throw is one of the more important pieces, because if you look at my feet when I throw, it's not exactly orthodox. My left toe is closed off to the target, which is not the typical way of teaching throwing. So I think I always try and do a good job of getting my hips set to the target, and that's why I'm able to do those cross-field throws and some of the shot plays. That's just something that you got to work on, but it's also I've been fortunate to be blessed with.
I know your Donovan doesn't have a ton of catches. He's played a lot, but I mean, is this one just one of those things where he has to be patient and those things will come? He keeps doing what he's playing.
Yeah, Donovan is a patient guy, regardless. I mean, he knows he's one of those guys that the catches are going to come to him. That's kind of how last year went, and he's trusting the process as well. But he's a great teammate, and he's trying to do anything he can to help us win, special teams or offense.
Did you ever try to change your footwork so the throw was trying to make the target?
I didn't, because I'm a firm believer in you can either throw or you can't, and that's just always the way I've done it. So I'm not going to change that part of it now.
So I know you said you only need one shoulder, but when the left one's hurt, You know, how does that affect you when you have to kind of use your whole upper body? I mean, you just talked about hips, and I mean, it's a lot more than just your throwing arm and ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think just do a good job of this week of getting treatment and doing all that, taking care of my body, all the things that I need to. You know, flying my physiotherapist. His name's actually Dave Matthews, not the band, but getting him in here and taking care of me, and he's a big reason why I've been able to survive for the last 3 years. And so, just doing all the things that I have been doing, and just get ready for Sunday.
So for people who don't know, like, what does that look like? You go home and then you get worked on by him for a long time, or what's like?
Yeah, here during the day getting work when the breaks aren't happening, and then go home and getting that treatment that I need, and just, you know, that's about being a professional. Just doing everything you can to be ready for Sundays, whether it's mental, physical, and all that. So you just have to do what you need to do.
What instrument does he play?
He doesn't play any instruments. He thinks he can sing, though. Yeah.
Seen him perform?
If you call that a performance, yes.
When did you've had him your whole pro career, or before?
I got introduced to him by Drew Stanton. He's out of Arizona. I think he was with Carson Palmer and Larry Fitzgerald pretty much their whole careers. So just one of those guys that I trust with my body, and a lot of our other guys see him too. So he's one of those guys that I'm fortunate to have. Like that. Like I said, it takes a village, and he's one of those key pieces for me.
When you see other quarterbacks go down, I mean, there were a couple that went down last week.
Back in 20.
But, man, I should slide more, or I should try to avoid any unnecessary contact.
Yeah, I mean, that Sunday was, I think, just one of those days in the league where a lot of guys went down, coincidentally on the same day. But, yeah, there's definitely plays where I could slide. Now when it comes to, you know, having to get a first down and all that, I'm not going to change the way I play because, like I said, my mentality is always whatever I can do to help the team win.
Good. What was that guy's name?
Dave Matthews, not the band, Jake. Come on now.
You're up. Dave Matthews. Come on now, Jake.
Love it.
Great. Good job out of 6. Can't wait to see him play this weekend. 90% completions in the game last week.
It's great. 19 of 21. Leads the league right now in completion percentage, second in yards per attempt. He's middle of the pack in average depth of target. So people who were saying, oh, he's just throwing bubble screens. We've thrown 3 of those all season. He's actually pushing the ball down the field effectively.
Excuse me, sir.
Beau.
I have a question.
The floor is yours.
I wonder what the amount of throws down the field were after he had his shoulder, to quote him, it popped in and it popped back. It popped out and it popped back in. Because after that, it changed in the game.
We did not throw the ball down the field there, but I'm talking for the whole season.
That's my point, though. But that's the whole season. He's still middle of the road.
Yes.
You know, the other thing is obviously we have a high turnover rate in the league with the amount of turnovers we've had, really high. And yet I'm not at all concerned because, honestly, they're all so fluky. I know that's weird, but our turnovers are fluky. A dropped punt, a shoestring grab, Nick Chubb don't fumble.
The great hit on DPJ. The only one that wasn't was the pick this week.
Yeah, that's the one that felt like, okay, there's one. But other than that, the rest of them were so fluky. You can picture every one of them and just how, you know, all of the things that had to happen for those turnovers to happen.
And I think we're going to get that cleaned up. I just think that is part of a Kevin Stefanski team is you are going to clean that up.
Some of it's bad luck, though.
And fix that. It feels that way. By the way, some reports coming out from people who are at practice that the Browns are wearing the helmets that would go with the 75th anniversary throwback uniforms.
Oh, you don't say.
Which makes you wonder when we said, I wonder how traditional it will be.
Interesting.
Just how traditional will it be? It sounds like pretty traditional. Like as traditional as it can be.
You miss a little, you miss a lot on this program.
That's right.
You miss a little, you miss a lot.
Pay attention. Pay attention.
You know, if anyone were ever in a position to speak to luminaries, if you were ever in that position, as the NFL goes away from the one shell look next year, if you were ever in the position, perhaps something that you could talk to luminaries about would be, because I think it would be very cool to wear a white hat with those uniforms. To put a white hat,
boy, would it.
The authentic auto look, just all ice.
I feel like we know luminaries. Perhaps the conversation's already been had.
Perhaps that conversation took place. Who knows? Who knows, people? You never know. Do you love the Browns? We know that you do. Gain exclusive team access with the NFL Extra Points credit card for special ticketing, financing, 20% off at NFLshop.com, and rewards like player meet and greet, signed memorabilia. Apply today at NFLExtraPoints.com and get started with 10,000 bonus points after qualifying purchases, enough to redeem for a $100 statement credit. To learn more, you can visit NFLExtraPoints.com. Offer subject to credit approval. See application terms and conditions for complete details. We will go around the league coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. Beau Bishop here. And if you're sick and tired of your outdated kitchen, it's the perfect time to upgrade to a new modern design. In Northeast Factory Direct, cabinets include all of the upgrades: solid wood, full extension drawer glides, cushion closed drawers and doors. And the best part, the process is super simple. You can make an appointment, bring in some basic measurements, and a kitchen designer at Northeast Factory Direct is going to walk you through the rest. They do so on the interactive big screen. You can see how it's going to look in your space. The appointment and the design, those are free. There's no obligation. They let you take it with you. They also have 0% financing available. That is a big, big win. So if you're thinking about remodeling your kitchen, go to northeastfactorydirect.com and schedule your appointment today. Let's go around the league, good sir, and it starts certainly in Chicago, where Justin Fields will be making his first start this Sunday at First Energy Stadium. Not only that, in the press conference where Matt Nagy acknowledges that, he also says that Andy Dalton is our starter, and he will be a starter when he comes back. Say what?
Why?
What if he lights it up? What if the kid lights it up?
Why say it?
Why say it?
It doesn't need to be said.
It doesn't need to be said. That's what I mean. When we got into that depth chart, and I haven't bragged for my buddy yet, but when we got into that depth chart, it feels like they're doing this stuff out of spite, and you're making it more awkward. There's no reason to add that statement to it, that qualifier. When Andy's back, he'll be our starter. Why not just say Justin Fields is our starter? We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see what it is. We'll make it when we have, Andy Dalton back, we'll evaluate where we are then. But for now,
if
Justin Fields is the starter.
Comes in here Sunday, and I don't think that he will, but if he comes in here Sunday and lights it up in a loss, but even if he lights it up, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, we're going back.
Let's go back.
We're going to go back. I like Chuck down Charlie.
I like
go
when
back
they
to that.
don't have to defend 20 yards down the field.
Why?
They don't even have to defend it. It's not.
What is the point of it? I don't understand. The thinking is obtuse, my friend.
It's wild. Yes.
Also around the league, Tua Tagovailoa, fractured ribs. He is out for the Dolphins over this weekend. It'd be hard to imagine Carson Wentz playing this weekend as well. There's another one. Oh, Tyrod Taylor goes on IR. And so Houston will go Davis Mills from this
Thursday on a short week.
On a short week against a Carolina defense that's pretty
upstart Carolina Panthers team that's playing very, very well. Tua, Flores said he wants to play, but we're protecting him from himself. If I'm Jacoby Brissett, I think I need to go out there and light it up because maybe I don't have to give the keys back to this kid.
Everything that we have been told or read from people who are reputable down there is that Flores isn't crazy about Tua, that was kind of forced on him is the way that it's pretty plain. And so I'm with you. If Brissett plays well, there's no reason to believe that he can't hold on to that job for a considerable amount of time. And I think that's another team that was in on Deshaun Watson before the off-field stuff just got too much to try to look past. Yeah, absolutely on that front. This is going to do Houston a lot of favors because I think very clearly what they want is to be 2-15. They want to pick the best quarterback. This is going to help them do that. I think one thing they did, and I'm this is straight plagiarism on my end. I wish I could remember who said it, but it seems made so much sense. They were talking about the Houston situation, and they said what they did there is they basically treated the Houston Texans as the Tom Brady New England Patriots, and they got a bunch of veteran pros who are good dudes in the locker room to lead, and they're playing with them as their starters. When you think about Ingram and Money and Kirko and all of those guys, they're all pros.
Yeah.
So the problem with playing with pros is you're competitive.
Yep.
And so it's kind of their own undoing, the roster they put together.
With Tyrod there, that's a team that can win 5-6 games.
Yes.
And that doesn't get you the top prize in the draft.
No, it doesn't. And by the way, I don't know who that top prize is. There is no Trevor Lawrence. There's a lot of talk about Spencer Rattler, the Oklahoma quarterback. He has been erratic. The quarterback, Sam Howell at North Carolina, has been erratic. Now that he's lost all of his weapons, De'Ami Brown, a lot of those guys are in the NFL now. He's still putting up big numbers. He's coming along, but he's not in the league of certainly what Fields or Lawrence were going into last season, let alone what Wilson ended up being and what Trey Lance ended up being. There's a kid named Malik Willis who's at Liberty, who a lot of people like a lot, and I think is going to get some attention. My buddy Bobby Carpenter is calling that game this weekend, so I'll get his scouting report on that. But there is not even problem. Trey Lance we knew about, before last season, even though he only played the one game. You knew about him. So there isn't that. There's I think the best quarterbacks in college football from a pro perspective are freshmen or sophomores, and they're not eligible for the draft. So that's thank goodness. No, you're correct. Not our problem. Antonio Brown hitting the COVID list for Tampa Bay this week. He is vaccinated, so there's a chance that he will play this weekend as well. I think one of the biggest stories of this season so far, and it's a legitimate one, is the play and health of Ben Roethlisberger. So it comes out yesterday that he's injured, playing with injury. Roethlisberger says he's going to do everything he can do to play on Sunday. He's been hit 16 times in 2 games, 10 times on Sunday. This is, sure, there's part of this that has to do with some of the remaking of their offensive line. And the other part of it is he is holding the ball too long and wildly inaccurate when he does throw, especially anything in a check down situation. I say this as a guy who has Najee Harris in his fantasy, so I pay extra close attention to this. But he misses a lot of these.
Yep.
And they are in a spot with him where, again, not our problem, thankfully, but it's a team in our division, so you pay attention to it. They might be better off going with Mason Rudolph.
I don't know if we're there yet.
It's close.
But he has been very unimpressive in the early going.
He's not accurate, bud.
He's not accurate.
Claypool has bailed him out on some deep balls.
And Claypool's only caught 6 of his 14 targets. I mean, they are, he's averaging 19 yards a catch. But think about it. Deontay Johnson's at 10 yards a catch. Juju's 9.3.
He got hurt in a meaningless play.
James Washington's at 5 yards a catch. So you're right. I mean, we're not pushing the ball down the field. We're struggling. He's always been hurt, but I think you kind of saw it with Drew Brees. These guys, when it goes, it goes.
Manning, too.
It goes. The arm just goes. And his was definitely headed there late last season. It does not appear to be any better. I don't watch him and say, oh, wow, he's really throwing the ball. That's going to be their limiting. And if they're banged up on D, losing Watt for any period of time, it looks like he could be out this week. That's a team that just is not a complete football team. The Browns are the most complete football team in our division. We need to take care of the ball, which we have not done thus far. And if we do that, I think we're going to be in a very, very satisfactory position at the end of this. We should win this division.
Yeah, agreed. And I think, honestly, we're as complete as anybody in the AFC.
Yeah.
Including Kansas City in that. I think we are the most complete team in the AFC. We were talking about the Bills before the show. There's a little bit of mirage. They're off to a slow start in terms of their ability to throw the ball. Josh Allen around 56% the first couple of games for him throwing the ball. They're not clicking the way that you thought that they would click early in this season. They beat Miami. Miami's terrible.
Yes.
But beyond that, they're not that way either. So I tell you, you take, and I'll continue to classify them this way, the fluke turnovers, because they are fluke turnovers. Several of our turnovers are fluke turnovers, and we're sitting at 2-0, and you feel very good about. You feel very good anyway. But that's the difference between 1-1 and 2-0 is just the fluke turnovers.
Yeah, but we have to avoid them. We got to make our own luck and avoid those situations.
I guess my point is, though, I feel better because it's not like we're misreading something and throwing it to Tyrann Mathieu.
No,
like we're dropping a punt.
Correct.
Nick Chubb fumbled.
Correct.
Donovan Peoples-Jones, the helmet hit exactly on the ball.
And a bang play.
On a bang play, like it's not like we're sloppy. It's fluke is probably the best way to describe it. There is no fluke when Nick Chubb is on the field, and nor is there a fluke when the great Z does the interview, and you will hear that coming up next. Before we get to that, though, injuries during childbirth require experienced counsel. Call the lawyers at Elk & Elk for clear answers to what happened during your child's birth. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO today. Nick Chubb up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. Beau Bishop here from my friends at Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's presents the other rules of football. Rule number 1, serving cooked-to-order chicken finger meals always earns you extra points. And rule number 2, there is no penalty for excessive cane sauce dipping. Raising Cane's is ready to tackle all your chicken finger game day needs. You roll up in Cane's, you win. I assure you of that on Sunday. You roll up with a little bit of Cane's. When it comes to winning on game day, Cane's rules, one love, and a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks. You win big when you have Nick Chubb as well, and he goes one-on-one with Z right now. Let's have a listen.
All right,
You're down 11 minutes, almost 12.
Running back Nick Chubb, 26 carries, 178 yards, 6.8 per carry, 3 touchdowns on this young season. Nick, have you realized the stat that I saw the other day that kind of blew me away? You've scored a rushing touchdown in 8 straight games. That's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I didn't even know until I saw the same stat, but yeah, it's pretty incredible.
When you think about this running game, you guys really seem to have picked up where you left off a year ago. Week 1, a ton of success on the ground. The Browns already have 7 rushing touchdowns as a team. You know, is it year 2 in this offense? How are you guys having this success?
Yeah, I think so. I think just kind of building off of last year. We know our identity. We're a team that wants to run the ball, and we do it well. We have great O-line, great coaches, great coach calling the plays, and we have great running backs here too, so it all works together.
You know, you and Kareem, so different from a personality standpoint and even in your play styles a little bit. You know, what's that relationship like and how does it continue to blossom? You know, you both have gotten into the end zone. You're both touching the football and helping this team win games.
Yeah, I mean, I love how things are with me and Kareem. I mean, he's the more outgoing guy. I'm kind of, reserved, kind of held back. And I mean, yeah, I think it works well for us. I mean, I feed off of his energy. He feeds off of mine. And when he's in the game, I'm watching, I'm talking to him, seeing how things are, and he gives me feedback. I give him feedback. We kind of work together. So I'm figuring the defenses out. And, I mean, that's just how it's been since you've been here, and it's been working for us.
Do you guys try to one-up each other in terms of how many tacklers or would-be tacklers, I should call it, you try to carry? Because in that game on Sunday, you had a couple of runs where you carried about 3 guys. Kareem always is running with that crazy physical style. Is that something you guys talk about or take pride in?
Nah, not really. I don't think we're talking about it. It's kind of just a thing that we both know what we're going to do. So it's kind of just expected to happen with us.
There were 2 things on tape that when I went back and watched the game that I really enjoyed. One was when J.C. Treader gave you the nice little chest pass,
I saw that.
Which was great. And there was another one where you carried about 10 guys, and at the end, you're on the ground with Harrison Bryant, and he was so fired up how you guys kind of pushed that pile down the line. Is that one of the fun things when you go back and watch and just see? Because in the ground game, it takes 11 guys. You're the guy with the ball, but it takes everybody.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I mean, going back and watching film and seeing guys like, JC even giving me a push, or just guys coming and moving the pile, keeping my feet moving. And Harrison, yeah, I mean, he's a great blocker for us. And he's been, dropping guys in the ground, just having him on my back, pushing me for the extra yards, and see him get excited about it. I mean, I love it.
So it seems like to me sometimes you anticipate the holes before they're there. Do you feel like you're able to do that? Like or is it just your knowledge of the system and how it's supposed to open up? Because there are runners where they put a foot in the ground and it's real obvious they're putting their foot in the ground and change direction. With you, sometimes it doesn't look like you're really changing. You've changed your angle and you're just gone.
Yeah, that's kind of a hard question to ask. I mean, I guess most of it, for me in the game, I feel like I have a good understanding of what our lineman is trying to do. And I feel like I know how they're trying to block things. And it's our job to kind of set up the block. So I can go one way and no defense going to go one way, so my line can get to them easier. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It kind of happens natural. Sometimes I'm just literally just running. I don't know where I'm going, and it works out for me.
Well, it works out very well. Did you hear the crowd? Chubb, 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 Chubb. Were you able to hear?
Yeah, I heard all this year. Yeah.
You loved it. What is that? What happens when you start hearing that? Does it get you fired up?
Yeah, it does get me fired up. Exciting. I think my mom loves it more than anything when she's in the stands hearing it too.
It is pretty cool. Speaking of the fans, how great was it to have that passion, that noise? You've heard it before. Some of the guys on this team have never experienced First Energy Stadium like it.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we all missed it. We all miss having the fans in the stadium. And then in the morning when I drove to the stadium, the Muni Live, it was full, it was lit. So, it's exciting to have everybody back.
All right, let's go to that touchdown run. I was doing the film breakdown with Joe Thomas for Browns Live, And he says, it's not often on a wide zone, outside zone run that you don't even get touched at all, or really you just kind of run your track and go, and you got a great block from Donovan, veered away from safety, and that was it. Was that one when you guys go back and watch it, you go, this is perfection, this is perfect execution here?
Oh, it definitely is. I mean, if you give us that much space every time, we have to make you pay. It's no excuse for us not to get in the end zone. And it was wide open. I think maybe the safety may have touched me a little bit, but not much at all. It was wide open.
When you're in the backfield, you know the play that's called, obviously. So you know where you're going and what you're looking for. On that one, once you guys switched the strength, it was clear, Kirko was trying to get guys here, there, whatever. There was a little chaos. When you're back there and you see this going on, is that one where you're in your mind, you're like, let's just snap this ball, we've got him, let's go?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I understand that we got to get lined up and what I call legal formation on us or something crazy like that. But yeah, sometimes I like just go ahead and run it so we can catch them off guard.
Yeah, are there times where pre-snap, you're like, all right, we've got this?
I think that sometimes, but sometimes it never works out that way. It's like, I don't know. I try to get too caught up in that.
So here you are, you're averaging 6.8 yards per carry, leading the league, and you only have 26 carries. I know our fans are like, he needs 26 carries every game, and I understand why they would feel that way. How do you kind of feel about the flow of the games, knowing there's an extra game? And in this case, we're hoping we're playing 20 games, ultimately when it's all said and done. So what's kind of your mindset about the workload each and every week?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's a long season. And if we keep going at this pace, I mean, we'll still feel fresh later in the season. I know for me, going to the fourth quarter, I felt really good. I feel like I hadn't even played. So I think that's definitely a plus for the fourth quarter and for the rest of the season. And I like how things are going. I mean, me and Kareem are kind of splitting the duty. I mean, I go, he goes, kind of back and forth, the rotation. And I get to watch and observe and see what's going on. And I get to go out there and put together what I thought was happening out there and what I've seen and what Kareem has told me. And I think it works out better that way.
Yeah, because sometimes they talk about getting in a rhythm, like a running back needs to get into a rhythm. But sometimes, as you just said, maybe you can be helped by taking a second. Okay, here's what's happening. I get to watch somebody else do it now when I go and I have a better game plan for what I want to do.
And one thing I think Coach Stefanski does good, even though we aren't getting like 20 carries a game, I think when he starts running the ball, it's like 4 or 5 back to back to back. And that's kind of where I like getting to the rhythm because, I mean, I'm getting the carries back to back where I can get warmed up and get heated up.
And I have to imagine for a defense, they're like, okay, great, Nick's going out of the game. Here comes fresh Kareem, or oh great, yeah. Kareem's hit us, he's going out. Oh God, here comes the Nick Chubb. Like that's gotta be tough.
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah, but it's a great advantage for us. And you mentioned getting it going down there. We have been tremendous in the red zone, and I know that's something Kevin Stefanski talks about. 7 trips to the red zone this year, 6 touchdowns, the 1 field goal. When you guys think about your abilities to have success down there, how important is that, and how much is that, from all the work you guys put in, especially late in the weeks when you get in those red zone and goal line drills?
Yeah, I mean, getting the red zone is very important, very vital to, winning football games. And it's never a doubt in my mind that we're not going to score when we're in the red zone. It's like, I think our mindset is pretty much sure we know we're going to find a way to score somehow, some way. And I think that's really what's carrying us forward and getting to the end zone because it starts with our mind. I mean, we know we're going to get in. We practice it more than anything in practice too inside the red zone.
If I would have told you that the Browns through 2 games would have 7 rushing touchdowns, how many of those would you have thought would have been Nick Chubb and or Kareem Hunt?
Probably all of them.
Probably all of them. But we got an Andy Janovich in there.
Yeah, got Andy in there.
Fantasy
we claim Andy, though. He's one of us, so that's good.
That's good. That counts. Okay. I think he might have had something there, too, if he didn't get tripped up on Jack Conklin on that.
Oh, for sure. I think so, too. Yeah.
So there it is, a little variety, which is good. It looks like you're having fun, which is nice. And I know week 1 didn't go the way that everybody wanted to ultimately in that one, but to get that bounce back at home, and it just seems like you guys really enjoy. There's a lot of camaraderie on this team.
Oh, it is. I mean, this team is extremely close. I mean, I'm friends with all the guys. I mean, I enjoy coming in every day. I enjoy being around everybody. I enjoy going to practice. I mean, I love it here.
When you see a guy like Dimitrik, he spends time in your room. You guys joke with him about, oh, you're going to be with us, spend time with the receivers, get to go out there and make a play like that. Does he count as one of yours? Is he one of you guys, or is he kind of too much in that receiver room to be truly?
I don't know what he is anymore. I mean, he has so many roles. He's running back, he's receiver, he's the returner. I mean, he has 3 different coaches who he talks to every day, and I mean, yeah, but I mean, he handles it well. I mean, when he gets a chance to do anything, he's all in, and he scored at receiver this week. I mean, he's a good running back. He's a great returner. I mean, he can do it all.
Yeah, and a nice kid too. Really kind of fits in.
Oh yeah, very nice
We're building here. All right, I know how much you love burgers, grindhouse down in Atlanta, but you are now, like, in some ways the cereal king of Cleveland. Chubb Crunch goes out there. You're setting records. This thing's flying off the shelves. We've got Chubb Crunch in the Zegura household. The kids love it. What was I knew what you wanted to accomplish with it, and there's obviously powerful message, and it's going to benefit, obviously SIDS, which is near and dear to your heart and your family's heart. But did you ever think that it was going to kind of be what it's become in terms of just flying off the shelves and setting records for this type of a cereal?
Honestly, I didn't. I thought it'd just be like, okay, Nick has cereal. Some people buy, some people won't. But I kind of got an idea to be big when I saw the cover of the box with the Batman theme. I knew people in Cleveland would love that. I think it's just I feel like I owe a lot to Cleveland because the fans around town went all the Heineken and bought them all out. I think now I talked it up to production, the people who making the cereal. They say they're behind. They're having a hard time keeping up with making the boxes of cereal because they're selling out so fast. So yeah, it's going really well, and it's for a great cause, like you said. So it worked out.
How many people who have gotten the boxes, and then obviously there's a powerful story and why it supports SIDS research and trying to prevent that from happening to anybody else. But how many people have asked you about Chubbstown? Because that's it's just on there, and it's kind of a pretty incredible thing.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me about that too. Just kind of find a way to get my town out there.
That's crazy though. That's actually if you were to go through all the facts about you, like the Chubbtown component of your lineage is kind of a crazy thing.
It is for it to have free Black people during that time, and it's an amazing story.
It really is. I would urge people to check it out more. Nick Chubb, more than just obviously the premier running back in the NFL and a slinger of cereals and doing good causes, but the whole story of how you got just from your family to how you got here to Cleveland is kind of a crazy thing. And I urge people to check it out. Just adds another layer to the mythos, if you will, of Nick Chubb. Mm-hmm. It's always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure. Love seeing you go.
Come back in 10.
What you do every single week. And as you mentioned the cereal, you hear it from the crowd how much this city has really embraced you. And we're excited to see more this Sunday against the Bears.
Yes, sir. appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Great job out of you. Let me run this by you. If he can stay healthy, he has a chance to be the most popular Cleveland Brown since Bernie Kosar.
I think that he is, I don't know, because the personality, and now we got a lot right there.
I think that adds to it, though. I think how appreciative he is, how just do his job he is.
Very blue collar.
I think it fits.
Listen, it was cool. And Gibbe, I know you heard it, and I'm curious if you could hear it through the TV, and you'll get a chance to probably hear it this Sunday. Chubb, Chubb, Chubb. When they start chanting that when you get down near the goal line, and then Stefanski's like, I'm just going to actually give this to Andy Janovich. No big deal.
What do you think, Gibby?
The personality comes into play a little bit.
Like we win a Super Bowl, though.
You think about Tomei. Okay. You think about the guys on the Indians in the 90s who were beloved. Wide variety of personality on that.
If we win the Super Bowl, let's just say, in the next couple of years, who do you think is more popular coming out of that, Baker or Chubb?
Well, it would depend on what Chubb's – that's why I said he's got to stay healthy. He plays a position that's tough. But if he can stay healthy, I think he's the one that the people are going to identify with. I just think his attitude fits he's the epitome. Like you got Stefanski, he's the epitome of what you want in a Cleveland Brown.
He is, in my mind right now, if you were to say.
You do jersey count at the stadium on
Sundays.
Who are the
three most popular Browns? And I don't think fourth might as well be eighth in this case. I think it is Chubb, it is Baker, in no particular order. Chubb, Baker, and Jarvis are the three most just flat out popular Browns.
But Miles had a heck of an ovation on Sunday.
Miles is probably that would be your Mount Rushmore.
Those would be the four.
Those are the four. Yeah. I mean, Miles' ovation was bananas.
Yeah.
It shocked me because it was kind of building person by person by person, and then Clowney's was big, and I thought Miles would be like Clowney's or maybe a little, and it dwarfed We'll get the offense, I bet, on Sunday.
Probably.
So that'll be.
Then we'll know a little bit how.
But
that
it's
goes.
also you
But
wonder
Jarvis
if it's because if it's the last person.
Last person always gets a lot of juice.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
6 will be last.
Right.
Or could they go Chubb last? Or I think it'll be Chubb.
It'll be one of those.
It'll be
two.
Chubb or Baker. Yeah.
Maybe
All right.
Joel Batonio.
Still so much more to come. You
So
listen to
much.
Cleveland Browns Daily 850
Don't
ESPN.
go anywhere.
Be sure to catch the Browns preview show tonight at 7, University Hospital's Cleveland Browns Radio Network. Wyatt Teller joins Ken Carmen and Gerard Cherry tonight on the show. By the way, he looks great on this on the media guide.
Yeah, it's a great one. In the 75th, anniversary,
75th anniversary
jersey. All of the media guides have been that way thus far, so
They've all been 75th.
Yes,
yeah.
all of them. But yeah, he looks good, man.
Is Mark still doing are we still getting the image releases with Mark on the schedules?
I haven't seen a poster.
No. And this feels like a nice year for a poster.
Well, it's all different, though. I don't know. It's hard to say. Hard to say. All right. These are things we will work out, and we'll continue to work them out tomorrow. Enjoy your first Friday, kids. It's the first day of fall. It's bourbon season, kids.
It is.
Act accordingly.
Listen, we're about, 2 months from popping in some
You're
bourbon
getting
apple
there.
pie, getting it crafted?
Getting it marinated.